So there is an announcement. From 12th April, there'll be an English course so the first session, the live session, will be at 7:30 a.m. this very time. You also repeat the course, all of you. And then at 2 p.m. India time and 9 p.m. India time, this course will be repeated. So please send the invitation for the course to everybody you know, so that they can take benefit of the course and attend it and take the benefit of Baba's teachings and Sangam Yoga. Om Shanti. Today Baba talks about the main virtue, the foundational virtue which attracts or which is the seed of all other divine virtues. Now we are sitting here with the aim that I want to change from a human to a deity. And what is the difference between a human and a deity? The simple difference is divine qualities. Now today Baba says that speaking less, speaking sweetly, speaking softly, and speaking with the essence of knowledge is a divine quality. And if you look around, Baba says that those who speak sweetly, softly, less, and essentially, that is a sign of royalty. Yes, and if you see somebody doing that around you, you would instantly feel that, this is a good quality in this person. And everybody likes, or is attracted to, or is, feels happy in the company of those who speak in this manner. So this is a very sukh giving, this is a very nurturing quality. But how can we be sweet and soft and speak less all the time, or be senseful and with the use of our words all the time? So Baba says that if I have the foundation quality of purity, then every other divine quality I can imbibe. And without the foundation of purity, no other quality is possible. Yes, and you see, there are many people who train themselves, to appear sophisticated. Yes, so there is a lot of training in the world done to, learning how to sit, stand, talk, eat, behave, so that, you appear sophisticated. But then when this person who is very well trained, they are under the influence of anger, then can they, remember their training? They cannot remember their training at that time. An angry person will always misbehave. And if you see somebody 24 hours a day, then you know that, people who apparently look like, they are full of good qualities and divinity. Whenever they are overtaken by ego or anger, then whatever is their, sanskar, it will emerge. So Baba says that even if, somebody looks like having a divine quality for some time, but if the foundation of purity is not strong, then that divine quality may be, in use and in expression for some time, but that will not be my quality or my trait. And when I conduct courses, I usually ask this question: is there any quality in you, any quality in you, any trait in you which is constant always? Any quality, let it be, somebody says I'm honest, somebody says I'm punctual, somebody says I'm sweet, polite, patient, whatever. So I always ask, is any aspect of your personality, any quality in you, your permanent quality, that which never changes under any circumstance? And I have never received yes as an answer. So nobody says, I have won this quality which never changes, because everything is circumstantial. So in Kali Yuga, why do, people are sweet, people are polite, people are patient, people are, helpful, people are punctual, disciplined, everything, but then not always. Why not always? Because we are not pure. And when there is no purity, then there can be a divine quality for some time, but then that divine quality will be, will be dependent on your attachments. So, so if you look at the quality of purity, then purity is symbolized by a lotus flower. And a lotus flower is one without attachment. A lotus flower is not influenced. And why is it not influenced? Because it is not attached. And if you look at the vices, lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, they all stem from attachment. So attachment is the main vice. So when you are attached to other people's bodies, that is called lust. When you are attached to, when you are emotionally attached to other people, that's called attachment. When you are attached to possessions and things and, physical material world, that's called greed. And when you're attached to your own opinion, your ideas, your sense of your name, fame, everything, then that is called ego. So, or you are attached to your own body, that's also ego. So, or aspects of the body or aspects of whatever you acquired through the body, that's ego. And when all of these attachments are under threat, whenever whatever you are attached to is not behaving according to your expectation, then you feel what is called anger. Then you create thoughts of anger, you feel anger. So if you look at it, the main problem is attachment. And when you have this quality of being attached, then you're vicious, and that viciousness makes you far away from a lotus flower. And then you may have a divine quality for some time, let's say happiness or cheerfulness. Always staying happy is a divine quality. So deities are defined as somebody who are ever cheerful. But can you stay ever cheerful if you have attachments to the old world? No, because when you are attached to something or someone, and then that one or that thing is not behaving according to how you want them to behave, then your happiness will be lost. So Baba tells us that any soul that is not pure, that's not like a lotus flower, that has attachments to this old world. And attachment is vice. All the different 5 vices are forms of attachment. And when there is attachment, there is vice, then you cannot have divine qualities as a stable aspect of your personality. So you may have a divine quality, you may be an embodiment for some time, but then as your attachments are challenged or whenever your circumstances are changing, then you lose your quality. So Baba tells us that the first important thing is purity. Now, how do we shift from this place of absolute impurity, where we are full of all the 5 vices, to this place of absolute purity, where I live in this world, but in a state of detached and loving. So when you are detached, you are loving, you are not dissociated, you are not callous or indifferent. When you are completely detached, you are always loving, because absolute detachment means always an emergence of divine qualities, and love is a divine quality. So you are always loving, you are always caring, you are always happy, always cooperative, always helpful, always content. All these divine qualities emerge when you are always absolutely detached, and that happens when you have purity. Now, how do you build this state of purity? How do you arrive at this state of purity, starting from this state of absolute impurity that we are in right now? So first thing is, until and unless we have Baba, or until and unless Baba comes and meets us, or we meet Baba through him, we cannot have purity, because Baba is the only one who is the ever pure and who doesn't come into this cycle of birth and death. And that's why the only one entity that doesn't become impure is Baba. Everyone else, everything else becomes impure. So in this Kali Yuga end, we don't have any example, any embodiment of purity. So first requirement for changing from impurity to purity is access to Baba, meeting Baba, knowing Baba. And then when I meet Baba, Baba is my father, teacher and Satguru. And as soon as I meet Baba, Baba starts to change my intellect into a divine intellect by giving me true knowledge. And you see, the basis of all our actions and interactions is the buddhi, is the intellect. So whatever we do in this world is driven by our intellect, the quality of our intellect. And in 63 births of Ravan Rajya, my intellect becomes rusted, my intellect becomes vicious, and my intellect is full of the ideas and opinions of the impure world. My intellect is full of the directions of Ravan. And when Baba comes, Baba gives me the true knowledge of the true self, qualities of the self, the true knowledge of our home, the true knowledge of my beginning, middle and end, the true knowledge of my father. And if you look at the knowledge, what is the knowledge about? It is the knowledge of purity. So it is Baba who reminds me that I am a soul and my original quality is purity. My essence is purity. In my original state, when I am in the soul world, I, the soul, do not have any trace of vice. Contrary to what psychology has told me and science has told me and even religion has told me. Because even religion tells you that deities also used to go into lust, and deities also fought wars, and all of these things are told by religion. And these days, when we have depictions of deities, we depict them with very scanty clothes and having attraction towards each other and bodily beings. That is how we are telling the stories of deities. That is how we are we are speaking of the divine culture. But Baba tells us that I am a soul absolutely pure in the soul world. I do not have the capacity for lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed when I am in the soul world. I have no trace of these sanskars. In my original essence, I do not know. I have complete ignorance of these vices. And then when I come to play my part in the beginning, in the deity world, there also I live in the system of the family. I do my work, I take care of the tasks that I have been sent for, but there is absolutely no trace of vice. There is a body, but there is no attachment to the body. There is no fear of death. Is there fear of death in Satyug? No, Baba gives us the knowledge that when one leaves the body in Satyug, they do it happily. With a lot of happiness you leave the body, because you know that this body is just a costume, and when you leave the body you are happy that you're going to receive a new costume. So there is no attachment to your own body, there is no attachment to any bodily relation, there is no trace of moha or attachment, because the soul in its pure state doesn't know what is lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. Their children do not take birth through lust. Yes, though children are born in Satyug, but the culture there is that of purity, and a birth takes place without any vice. And you see, in the Shastras, we listen to the stories that Kunti gave birth to Suryaputra. So, Karna was the son of the sun. And it is not through lust that Kunti had a son with the sun in the sky. So, we listen to these stories, but it never makes, it never clicks us that there should be a world, or there must have been a world where there was no lust, and even birth took place without lust in that world. And you see, we listen to these stories from the Copper Age also. So when we listen to the stories of scriptures, then sometimes we know that this is not true, this is not a part of history. So we sometimes denounce it. But even in history, you see, they say that Abraham had two sons, and one was born of lust, and another was born of the promise of God. So they say that one was born by the promise of God and another was born of flesh. So why is that called so? Because when there was a transition from that world of purity to that world of impurity, so at the intersection of Treta Yuga and Dwapar Yuga, there is Abraham who comes and establishes the religion of Islam. And since that is just the beginning of impurity, in that part of history also we say that one child was born without engagement in lust. So Baba tells us that for two yugas, Satyug and Treta Yuga, there is no knowledge, there is absolute ignorance of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. There is no ego. The king, the king has a bigger palace, the king has bigger facilities than the subjects, but the king doesn't have the superiority complex that I have a bigger palace or I have bigger facilities. And you see, here you in this old world, what happens, you make a small hut for yourself, and then that you don't live in that hut, the hut lives in your head. Yes, and then you are always thinking that other people don't have a hut and I have a hut. I'm not even talking about a palace. Even somebody who has something which other people don't have, there is an instant sense of ego that I'm bigger than others because I have this. So Baba says that you have to churn over this knowledge that in your original state as a soul there is no trace of vice. In your original part here in this world drama for 2 yugas, there is no trace of vice. You live in the family system, you do your work, you carry out your part in the drama, but in an absolutely viceless state. And then my Baba is the ocean of purity. So just look at Baba. Baba comes, and for so many years together, Baba gives us so much sustenance. So many children, they come, they go, many betray, many become traitors. Many children, they just listen to what Baba says, don't do anything. Many do everything, but Baba is not affected by anything. Baba just comes and keeps doing his task, and Baba has absolutely no influence. So Baba has no reaction, no attachment, no greed, no ego. So, and you see, Baba keeps saying, children namaste, every Murli. Baba never says, why am I saying namaste to you? You are you are no use, and I am the mightiest one. So why am I saying namaste to you? That never occurs to Baba. Because you see, Baba is the epitome, or Baba is the original reference point for what purity is or vicelessness is. So Baba says that I give you the knowledge of who you are, what is your original quality, what is your original quality in your original home, what is your quality when you come to play your part in the beginning, and also what is the quality of your father, because you are like your father, you are designed in the image of your father. So just like my Baba is the ocean of purity, I am the master ocean of purity. And then Baba says that when I give you this knowledge, then you have to keep churning over this, all day, all night. And the more you churn over it, then what happens is slowly, gradually. Now, how slowly, how gradually? Because it takes years together to arrive at that memory or that smriti or that enlightenment where you start feeling and experiencing that yes, this is true, and truly purity is my own quality. And that quality in you which had become merged, because the law says if you don't use it, you lose it. So for 63 births, we have not used this quality of impurity because Ravan convinced me that my basic quality is impurity. Yes, psychology tells us lust and ego are your basic quality. Science tells you that, survival of the fittest, competition and pulling each other down is your original quality. So, and religion tells us that, deities used to fight and go into lust and be vicious. So, all of these things have gone into our awareness, and because of that, the intellect has become corrupted. And the intellect believes that impurity is normal and natural. But when we come to Baba and we learn the truth, and then along with studying from Baba every day and churning on what Baba says every day, I also have to take care to stay in the remembrance of the ocean of knowledge. Because not only does churning over knowledge give me the strength to imbibe knowledge, but remembering the teacher also gives me strength. So, have you seen that if you have a good teacher and you love your teacher, then it becomes very easy to learn that subject. This has been my experience. I was very bad at maths all my life. So I was not bad at maths, but I didn't like maths. So I had a bad relationship with maths. But when I was in my post graduation, there was a teacher, and he was such a good teacher, such an amazing teacher, that he was teaching econometrics, and that involved a lot of maths. And I loved that subject because of the teacher. And in the second year, when that teacher changed, another teacher came, I did not love the subject enough. So I have noticed this, that it becomes very easy to learn and imbibe a subject if you love the teacher and you have a good relationship with the teacher, because that yoga with the teacher, that connection with the teacher gives you the power to imbibe the subject. And Baba says that if in this Brahmin life I take care to stay in remembrance of Baba and read the Murli over and over again and keep churning on what Baba is telling me about the truth, then I will slowly emerge my purity. Now, do you understand that when there is a stain on a sofa, let's say there is a stain on a sofa and it's a tea stain, tea spilt on the sofa, and then it's been 2 days since the tea got spilt, then it becomes so difficult to remove that stain, right? But if you keep washing it over and over again, then gradually you will remove the stain. So the best way, but you cannot do that to a sofa. That's why, sofas are very difficult to clean. But if it's on a cloth and you keep using it, keep washing it, then, the stain will go away in many washes. Similarly, you see, the stain of impurity on the soul is very old. 63 births, stain after stain after stain, karma after karma of impurity. And look at the deep, deep sanskar of impurity we have created. And now Baba tells us to have this, 360-degree change from complete impurity to complete purity. So for this, you need to keep churning, this intellect needs continuous washing with knowledge and yoga. And if you keep washing it with knowledge and yoga, then slowly all the, impure dictates of Ravan will get washed away, and your intellect will turn divine, and you will have absolute clarity in the form of a deep knowing that I am a soul and my original essence is purity. I am a pure soul. And then when you have this strength of the intellect, when your intellect is very powerful, then it can change, it can overpower the mind. Because you see, the mind for 63 births has been under the influence of the senses, and the mind is also influenced by the chit, the memory track. The mind thinks by association. So whenever you see a scene, hear a sound, see an image, immediately the association of vice with it emerges. So if you have had an association, if you have had attachment for very long, you see a scene of attachment and all the sanskar of attachment in you emerges instantly, because we have a whole memory track of vices, and with that memory track and with the senses, you're seeing all the scenes and sights of the vicious world. And then there is a memory track which is full of viciousness. And then whatever you see, hear, smell, taste, it reminds of something vicious. It is always, you see, our associations are so vicious. People are listening to something, some joke, some music, some story, and they are laughing on their own, and you don't know what the joke is about because they are associating it with something vicious which they saw or heard or experienced in the past. So Baba says that now we are in the state where our mind is constantly bombarded by vicious thoughts, vicious feelings, because A, our sense perception is in the vicious world, and B, our memory track is full of vicious associations. And then Baba tells us that what you do is you empower your buddhi so much that it can overpower your mind. And then when the buddhi takes over the mind, then you can change your thoughts. You can change your whatever thoughts and feelings of viciousness you are having, even if they come to you, because it's 63 births of karmic accounts that we have created. So all that, or sanskars that we have created, that will all come. But then you will have the power to check it and change it if your intellect is very divine, if you have a very powerful buddhi. And when you are able to change your thought, then you are able to change your action. And when you change your action, then repeatedly, when you keep performing a new action, you will create new sanskars or new memories or new associations of purity. And this takes a long, long time. It's not a small journey from impurity to purity. But Baba says that if you pay attention to churning on knowledge, remembering Baba, and always paying attention to, make conscious decisions about what you're thinking. Think before you think. But you can only think before you think if your buddhi is very powerful. So when you're able to do that and perform new actions of purity based on love, pure feeling, based on the attitude of seva, so not on any selfish or vicious desire and intention, but you do everything with the intention of seva and intention of making yourself better. If you start doing that, then slowly, gradually your sanskar will change. And when you have purity, then you want to imbibe any divine quality, you will be able to be constant in that, because then the waves of the impure sanskars will not be able to, push away the divine quality in you, and you will be able to have a permanent, any divine quality you wish to imbibe, just pay a little attention and you will be an embodiment of that. And Baba says, and when you are in that position, then choose to speak sweetly, softly, essentially, and less. Because now we want to transition from a Brahmin to an angel, and we have the description of the angelic world, the subtle world. In the subtle world, there is no sound. So this world is called a talkie, and the subtle world is called a movie, because there is no word, there is no sound in the subtle world. Everything happens through thought. And Baba says that you want to transition from a Brahmin to an angel, then you have to start speaking less, using your mouth less, and operating with the power of thoughts and good wishes and good feelings. And whenever necessary, you speak, or whenever you have to share gyan, you speak, but unnecessarily you don't speak. And whenever you're sharing gyan or you're speaking what is necessary, pay attention to speak softly and sweetly, because you want to create a sanskar of divinity in Satyug. You won't be speaking otherwise. You will always speak softly and sweetly in Satyug. So create that sanskar. And Baba says, now we want to transition from a Brahmin to an angel, and from an angel, we want to go to that soul world where there is not even thought. So, in the subtle world, there is at least thought. But in the soul world, there is no thought. So, first, let us go to that stage where we change from a talkie to a movie, and then slowly we will transition into the one who will move from a movie to a silence world. So, Baba says, develop these sanskars, choose to speak in this manner, and before that, you need a strong foundation of purity. Om Shanti.